Pam Bondi, an attorney known for her unwavering dedication to justice, stands in a courtroom facing an unexpected challenge. The judge delivers a shocking ruling, fining her for what appears to be a legal misstep. The room falls silent. Some shake their heads, others whisper in doubt. But Pam doesn't flinch. She takes a deep breath, her eyes filled with determination. What happens next will leave the entire courtroom stunned and prove that true brilliance shines in the face of adversity. Pam Bondi stands at the center of the courtroom, her expression calm yet unwavering. The weight of the moment presses down on her shoulders, but she refuses to waver. Around her, the air is thick with tension. Lawyers whisper among themselves. The audience shifts in their seats, and the judge prepares to deliver a decision that could shake the entire case. For years, Pam has built a reputation as a formidable legal mind, one who fights relentlessly for what she believes is right. She has taken on some of the toughest cases, stood against powerful opposition, and emerged victorious time and time again. But today, she faces an unexpected obstacle, one she never saw coming. The judge clears his throat, his voice echoing across the silent courtroom. The court finds that Ms. Bondi has overstepped legal boundaries and, as a result, is subject to a fine. The words land heavily, sending murmurs through the crowd. Some in the audience exchange glances of disbelief. A fine? Against Pam Bondi? Even her critics seem momentarily caught off guard. Pam remains motionless, her face unreadable. But inside, her mind is already racing. She listens carefully, absorbing every word, every nuance in the judge's tone. She knows that in the world of law, a single overlooked detail can change everything. And something about this ruling doesn't sit right. As the gavel strikes, solidifying the decision, Pam slowly lifts her gaze to meet the judge's eyes. There is no panic in her expression, only a quiet confidence that suggests the battle is far from over. While others may see this as a loss, Pam sees something else entirely. She sees an opportunity. A few seats away, a legal analyst leans toward a colleague and whispers, "She's not going to let this slide." And they're right. Pam Bondi isn't done yet. In fact, she's just getting started. The courtroom remains still, but the energy in the air has shifted. A fine against Pam Bondi. It feels like an unexpected turn in what should have been a straightforward case. People exchange hushed whispers, some shaking their heads in disbelief, while others glance toward her, waiting to see how she will react. Pam stays composed, her hands resting calmly on the desk before her. She doesn't argue, doesn't object, at least not yet. Instead, she allows the weight of the ruling to settle. She knows that in moments like these, patience is just as powerful as words. Her silence is not a sign of defeat, but a calculated move. She wants everyone in this room to feel the full impact of what has just happened. The judge, sitting high on his bench, watches her carefully. He expected pushback, perhaps even outrage, but instead he is met with something far more unsettling, her unwavering confidence. It is the kind of confidence that suggests she knows something others don't. Across the courtroom, a few legal experts in attendance begin scribbling notes, trying to make sense of the situation. Some believe this ruling is justified, while others suspect a crucial miscalculation has been made. But what exactly went wrong? Could the judge have overlooked something? Pam finally speaks, her voice steady and measured. "Your Honor, I respectfully request clarification on the legal basis for this fine." Her words are precise. She isn't outright challenging the ruling, but rather inviting the court to justify it. And that in itself is a brilliant move. The judge shifts slightly in his seat, adjusting his glasses as he glances at the case files before him. He clears his throat, then proceeds to explain his reasoning, citing legal precedents and procedural justifications. But as he speaks, Pam listens intently, her sharp mind dissecting every word. And then, it happens. A single sentence, a brief yet crucial statement buried within the judge's explanation. Most wouldn't have caught it, but Pam Bondi isn't like most. Her eyes flicker with realization. A mistake has been made, not by her, but by the court itself. She straightens in her chair, her lips pressing together as if weighing her next move carefully. The fine, the entire ruling, is built on an assumption that doesn't hold up under legal scrutiny. The law, when examined closely, does not support the decision that has just been handed down. She exhales slowly, allowing a small pause before speaking again. Your Honor, she says, her voice carrying just the right balance of respect and authority, I appreciate the court's explanation. However, there is an important legal distinction that must be addressed. A ripple of anticipation moves through the audience. This is the moment they've been waiting for. The moment when Pam Bondi, the legal mastermind, begins her counterstrike. And from the way she carries herself, from the way she carefully chooses her words, one thing becomes clear. This case is far from over. The courtroom, which had been filled with quiet murmurs just moments ago, falls into absolute silence. Every eye is now on Pam Bondi. There is something almost electrifying about the way she carries herself. Calm, composed, yet undeniably powerful. She isn't just another attorney challenging a ruling. She is a master strategist, and everyone in the room can feel it. The judge watches her closely, waiting for her to continue. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't rush her, perhaps because, deep down, he senses that whatever she is about to say carries weight. Pam takes a slow, deliberate breath before speaking. Your Honor, I would like to direct the court's attention to a key legal precedent that may have been overlooked in this ruling. Her voice is steady, unwavering, and laced with the kind of confidence that only comes from someone who knows the law inside and out. She pauses, allowing the moment to settle before proceeding. The fine imposed upon me is based on the assumption that I violated a legal provision that, in actuality, does not apply to this case. The court's interpretation of the statute is broad, but when examined in its proper legal context, it is clear that this specific scenario was never intended to fall within its scope. A ripple of movement spreads through the courtroom. Lawyers seated in the audience lean forward, intrigued. A few reporters scribble furiously in their notebooks, sensing that this moment could turn the case on its head. Pam continues, her tone measured but firm. To illustrate this, I refer to Case Name, a landmark ruling that set the foundation for how this law has been applied in subsequent cases. In that case, the court ruled that unless a specific set of criteria is met, the statute in question cannot be used as grounds for imposing penalties. Those criteria, Your Honor, do not exist in the present case. The judge's brow furrows slightly. He flips through the case documents before him, scanning for details, but Pam already knows what he will find. Nothing that contradicts her argument, because she has done her homework. For the first time, a flicker of hesitation crosses the judge's face. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, but it does not go unnoticed. The people in the courtroom exchange knowing glances. The momentum is shifting. Pam doesn't stop there. She presses on, reinforcing her argument with case law, statutory language, and legal reasoning so airtight that even her most vocal critics in the room cannot deny its validity. This is not a matter of opinion, she states firmly. This is a matter of legal interpretation, and the interpretation that led to this fine is not supported by precedent. A long silence follows. The judge exhales, his fingers lightly tapping against the wooden bench as he processes her words. The weight of the moment is unmistakable. Somewhere in the back of the courtroom, a legal analyst leans toward a colleague and whispers, "She's right." Pam Bondi has just changed the course of the case, and everyone in the room knows it. A hush falls over the courtroom as the weight of Pam Bondi's argument settles in. The judge, once resolute in his ruling, now sits in contemplation, flipping through pages of legal documents, searching for a counterpoint, something, anything, that could reaffirm his decision. But the more he looks, the more he realizes that Pam has exposed a critical flaw in his reasoning. Pam remains poised, her hands lightly clasped in front of her, her gaze steady. She knows this moment is pivotal. In the world of law, it isn't always about who speaks the loudest. It's about who presents the most irrefutable logic. And right now, the logic is on her side. She steps forward slightly, her voice firm yet respectful. Your Honor, I understand that this ruling was made in good faith, but the law is precise in its language. It does not leave room for broad interpretation when it comes to penalties of this nature. She gestures toward the case law she cited earlier, her words deliberate and precise. In every precedent related to this matter, courts have ruled against imposing fines under similar circumstances. recognizing that doing so would exceed the intended scope of the statute. The courtroom murmurs grow louder now. Lawyers in attendance exchange glances, some nodding in agreement. Reporters frantically take notes, realizing they are witnessing not just a legal battle, but a demonstration of sheer expertise. Apurso, Pam turns slightly, addressing not just the judge but the entire room. If this fine is upheld, it would set a dangerous precedent, one that could be used to impose penalties where none are legally justified. This is not just about me. This is about ensuring that the law is applied correctly and fairly. The judge exhales, adjusting his glasses as he looks down at his notes. It is clear that he is weighing his next words carefully. For a moment, the courtroom holds its breath. Then finally, he speaks. "Ms. Bondi," he begins, his voice slower than before, as if each word is chosen with precision. "Are you suggesting that this court has misapplied the law?" Pam does not hesitate. "Respectfully, Your Honor, I am suggesting that this ruling is inconsistent with established legal precedent, and I believe the record supports that conclusion." A pause, the judge glances toward the opposing counsel, who up until now had been quiet, perhaps unsure how to counter an argument so meticulously constructed. Finally, one of them clears his throat and stands. "Your Honor, while Ms. Bondi's interpretation is compelling, the statute still allows for judicial discretion." Pam immediately turns her attention to the attorney, already prepared for this argument. "Judicial discretion exists within the confines of the law," she counters smoothly. "Discretion cannot override legal precedent, nor can it create a penalty where none was intended. If that were the case, the law would be arbitrary, and we both know it is not." A sharp intake of breath from the audience. The opposing counsel shifts slightly, realizing that Pam has preemptively dismantled their best defense. The judge leans back slightly, tapping a finger against his notes. It is clear that he is deep in thought. This is not how he expected this hearing to unfold. But the facts, the logic, and the law itself are all pointing in one direction. Pam Bondi has turned the tide, and the courtroom knows it. The weight of the moment is unmistakable. The judge, once confident in his ruling, now finds himself at a crossroads. He adjusts his glasses, his expression unreadable, as he glances at the documents before him. The murmurs in the courtroom have quieted, replaced by an air of anticipation. Everyone knows they are witnessing something rare. A courtroom shift so profound that even those who initially doubted Pam Bondi now recognize her sheer brilliance. Pam remains still, her posture unwavering. She has presented her case meticulously, dismantling the opposition's argument piece by piece. Now she waits, not with nervousness, not with uncertainty, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows she has done everything right. The judge clears his throat. "Ms. Bondi," he begins, his voice carefully measured, "the argument you have presented is compelling. You have cited case law, statutory language, and legal precedent to support your position." He pauses, flipping through his notes, as if looking for a way to justify his original decision. But he finds none. Pam watches him, knowing that this is the turning point. It is in moments like these that the law speaks for itself. It is not about emotion, not about personal opinions. It is about the undeniable truth written in the legal framework. And the truth is clear. The opposing counsel shifts in their seat, visibly uneasy. The lead attorney finally rises, his expression tense. "Your Honor," he says, forcing authority into his voice, "if the court were to overturn this ruling, it would call into question previous interpretations of this statute." Pam doesn't even need a moment to respond. "On the contrary," she interjects smoothly, "upholding this fine would contradict legal precedent. The law is clear. The cases I have cited reinforce its intent. Overturning this ruling is not a deviation. It is a correction." The words settle over the courtroom like a final, undeniable truth. The judge exhales, leaning back in his chair. He has spent years presiding over legal battles, watching attorneys argue back and forth, some with force, some with desperation. But this is different. Pam Bondi has not argued for the sake of arguing. She has not relied on theatrics. She has built an argument so airtight that even those who wish to counter it find themselves struggling for words. The gallery watches closely, sensing that a decision is coming. Even the most skeptical observers can see it. Pam Bondi has done what few can. She has forced a judge to reconsider his own ruling. The judge places his hands on the bench, his gaze meeting Pam's. Ms. Bondi, based on the evidence and legal precedents presented, this court will take a brief recess to review the matter. A murmur spreads through the room. A recess? That means only one thing. The judge is seriously reconsidering his decision. And in the world of law, that is often the first step toward victory. Pam simply nods, a small yet unmistakable sign of respect. She has done her part, and now the law must do the rest. The courtroom remains still as the judge rises from his seat, signaling the recess. The sound of his gavel echoes through the chamber, yet it does little to break the tension that now grips everyone in attendance. The legal analysts, the reporters, even the opposing counsel, they all know what this means. A ruling that seemed so final just moments ago is now under reconsideration, and it is because of one woman's brilliance. Pam Bondi does not move. She remains seated, her expression calm, her hands resting lightly on the desk in front of her. She does not need to celebrate, nor does she need to exchange knowing glances with anyone in the room. She is not here for theatrics. She is here for the law, and right now the law is on her side. The opposing counsel gathers their papers, their faces a mixture of frustration and concern. They had entered this courtroom expecting a swift and decisive victory, believing that the judge's ruling would stand without challenge. But now the cracks in their case have been exposed for all to see, and there is no undoing that. A few feet away, the courtroom spectators begin whispering among themselves. Some are eager to analyze what just happened. Others are simply in awe of what they have witnessed. A legal battle of this magnitude is rare, and to see a ruling questioned so openly, especially by a judge who had seemed so sure of his decision, only reinforces the undeniable truth. Pam Bondi is a force to be reckoned with. She finally stands, adjusting her suit with a quiet elegance that speaks volumes. As she gathers her notes, she senses the eyes on her, but she does not acknowledge them. She knows that victory is not declared in whispers or exchanged glances. It is declared in the law itself. Slowly she walks toward the exit, her heels clicking softly against the polished floor. As she reaches the door, a voice stops her. Ms. Bondi. She turns. It is one of the reporters, a seasoned legal journalist known for covering high-profile cases. There is an almost reverent curiosity in his tone, as though he himself cannot believe what he has just witnessed. Did you anticipate the judge reconsidering his ruling? Pam allows herself the briefest of smiles, polite yet unreadable. I anticipated that the law would speak for itself. With that, she walks away, leaving the reporter momentarily stunned. He quickly jots down her words, knowing that they will become the defining quote of this case. Back inside the courtroom, the opposing attorneys exchange uneasy glances. The judge's recess may be brief, but they all understand what it truly signifies. When he returns, the foundation of their argument may no longer stand. Pam Bondi, with nothing more than logic, precedent, and an unwavering belief in the law, has done what few attorneys ever accomplish. She has turned the tide of a case that was seemingly decided. And as she walks down the hall, her presence alone is a reminder of the power of true legal mastery. The courtroom is silent once more as the judge re-enters, his expression unreadable. The recess is over, but the tension in the air has only grown stronger. Every person in the room understands the significance of this moment. A ruling that once seemed final has been questioned, examined, and now perhaps rewritten. Pam Bondi takes her seat, unshaken. She does not fidget, does not glance around the room for reassurance. She does not need it. Her work is done, and now it is time for the law to do what it was meant to do: correct itself. This court has reviewed the arguments presented by Ms. Bondi. He begins, his voice measured, and upon further examination of the relevant legal precedents, it is clear that a reconsideration of the ruling is warranted. A ripple of reaction spreads through the courtroom. The legal analysts lean forward. The opposing counsel shifts uncomfortably in their seats. The reporters' pens fly across their notepads, capturing every word. Pam Bondi does not gloat. She does not smile in victory. She simply nods once, a quiet acknowledgement of what she already knew would happen. She rises to collect her things, her movements as poised as ever. The judge looks at her one last time. There is something in his expression, perhaps a trace of respect, or maybe even admiration. He knows what has happened here today. He knows that Pam Bondi has just proven herself to be not just an attorney, but a legal force unlike any other. As she turns to leave, the reporters rush forward, eager for a statement. One of them manages to push a microphone toward her. "Ms. Bondi, what does this victory mean to you?" She pauses just for a moment. Then, with the same unwavering confidence that carried her through the trial, she responds. "This was never about victory," she says calmly. "This was about upholding the law." With that, she walks away, leaving behind a courtroom forever changed.